And now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal. The full story. Real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
And welcome to the Financial Fitness Podcast. I'm Certified Financial Planner Richard Rosso here with the Matt Damon Doyle on the mic.
Good morning.
Morning to you, sir. It's a good day. We're
Yes.
above ground. Well, barely. Talking about today, everybody's heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Can't do math anymore. You know, when we learn through school, the one thing that we seem to learn a lot about is Maslow's hierarchy, which is the psychological theory of human motivation, right? It's a 5-tier pyramid of needs. And, well, guess what? There's financial hierarchy, too. That also takes financial needs and categorizes them. So, but we're going to go through those with you, but we're going to put a little bit of the RIA spin on these. So I just got back from Texas A&M. We're teaching some of the kids, talking to them about life experiences in the financial planning realm. All these bright eyes looking at you like the whole world is there for me. Woo, woo, woo. And then I'm over there going mad. I'm going, wait until life just sort of cuts you off right at the knees, buddies. Yeah. But it's nice to see all that enthusiasm and promise and
Excitedness.
Yeah, the energy is very kinetic, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh gosh, you know what? Kids, here's the deal. Don't leave the classroom. Stay here forever.
Let me pop your balloon.
Not only let me pop it, let me stamp on it, let me roll it over with a steamroller, throw it off a roof.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's tough to do that to the kids. They are
is.
so excited about getting out there and doing their thing. And I'm like, I'm so excited about being here, and I wish I could sit back in your seat and not leave. So,
Well, the youth is wasted on the young.
that is certainly true. So this financial hierarchy, and a lot of it, I think, makes just intuitive sense. It's not rocket science by any means, but I think we forget it. I'm pretty sure Wall Street's forgotten out about it because they go right to the accumulating wealth stage, which is in the middle of the pyramid. But they forget all the other things, especially younger people need to do before you accumulate wealth. So I have a lot of younger people that I work with that are right in the smack of the middle part without doing the cash flow and basic needs because they're told they have to do it this way. Right. They're told they have to save for retirement right away, even though they don't even know what that means.
Right.
Okay. Where we do it is we're looking at it as a process, right? We're looking at foundational, building on that foundation. And a lot of times I'll talk to the younger people about this, and Matt, they look at me like I have two heads. Like, really? Yeah, really. Because if you do need to make a big purchase and you don't know what's coming in your life, you got to put a deposit down in an apartment. You're going to move to another city. This accumulating wealth thing gets blown up.
Sure.
Because you're leaking into these investments that you should be holding for the long term. Then you've got financial media out there promoting Roth as some form of sophisticated checking account.
Right.
Oh, well, you could take your contributions
out
out
of
of
5 years.
Yeah, put your emergency. I actually read this. Place your emergency cash reserve in a Roth. And I'm like, this is the dumbest crap I've seen.
Written by Stupid Is as Stupid Does.
Yeah, I think that's what the name was. Stupid Is as Stupid Does. So we want to start with the basics. And we talk about this, frankly, there are some people we still need to talk about this in their 40s and 50s. But
Not messing with you today, Rich.
no, but think about it, right? I mean, listen, we all can benefit from this.
Yeah. No.
We all get mesmerized by the Bitcoins and I'm going to get rich quick and put me more into equities because they're going up with all the other stuff around it in a mess.
Right.
And we don't do it that way. So these are some of the tips or things that people do. The wealthier people, they have followed this hierarchy of financial needs. Now, they've done it intuitively, whether they've learned it through money script, watching their parents and grandparents, communication, reading, common sense.
Yeah.
They've created their own pyramid.
Yeah. They might have accidented into it.
Accidented into it. Yeah, they accidented it for sure. I like that word, accidented. That would be a great name for a dental office. Accidental. Get it?
Accidental busticated teeth.
All right, so very simple. The foundation is you got to know where your money's going, where it's coming, where it's going, and that's a budget. Now, I've been keeping a budget since I had my paper route at 12 years old because if Mr. Ginty didn't pay, I had to go collect every Friday. Like I had to collect, so deliver papers, get up at 3:45 every morning before school, load all the papers. And I had some of the biggest apartment buildings in Brooklyn along Ocean Parkway, which is full of apartment buildings and homes and other things. So I had the periphery of that area and then that area going up in all these apartment complexes. And then on Friday, I had to go collect the cash. I think it was like $1.25 for a week's worth of newspapers. And then hopefully a tip.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to understand that I built this, I had to keep a budget and keep sort of a ledger of who didn't pay, who's on vacation. I got to come back. You owe 2 weeks. You owe $2.50. You don't owe $1.25. So it all starts with how you want to keep the budget. Now, we have a lot of great electronic tools to do that now. That's amazing. We can crack cash flows in our financial plans. We set up categories. We have people that say, hey, you're breaching your category for eating out. We could do all that. But really, the simpler, the better. And I'm a big believer in pen and paper. I still, as much technology as I use, I still go back to a notebook and my budget. And it just keeps me closer to my numbers, closer or more intimate with the data. So I always tell young people, Matt, food, housing, transportation, daily expenses, do it by hand. Take out a piece of paper, take out a notebook, do it this way. Try it, see if you like it, and then you can move on to more sophisticated apps or software to connect your checking accounts and see where your money's going. But let's just start with the basics.
Right.
So you got to know yourself at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And then realize, oh my gosh, do I have enough where I can get to the next part of the pyramid, the next step up, which is financial safety, which we'll talk about. But let's talk a little bit about this cash flow and basic needs. Did you keep a budget?
I did. And like one of the little tricks that personally I used in my own life when I was starting out was, you have your direct deposits that are set up, right? And you have your checking account that's on there.
Yeah.
And so I would have a certain dollar amount. I think it was $250 a paycheck that would just go to a saving account, not to my checking. And I just pretended as though that savings account wasn't there.
Did you do that and then do your budget and say, I'm just going to make believe this money's not here? Or did you have an actual line item that said savings?
No, I mean, look, I think as the clients that I work with, I think, they understand kind of the way my crazy little brain works, but I'm more of a top down guy than a bottoms up guy. So
that's what she said. Oh. Sorry. Go ahead.
Rich, I'm not messing with you today. Go ahead. But yeah, so despite whatever she said, but that's how I would look at it. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't so much as, I had to drive and I had to spend more money on gas this week than I normally would or whatever that extraordinary expense might have been or the change in the budget details were. The point was, for me at least, forced savings, right? It was this intended sort of, I'm going to push money into this account, and that's how I'm going to just sustain, sort of, as it were, that savings level on a high level, right?
So you took that pay yourself first to heart. You always use that, and that is a standard, what I call foundational rule. Yeah. Between those two levels of cash flows and then financial safety, right? That pay yourself rule wraps around those two components very well.
Yeah. I mean, again, not from a bottoms up, but I mean, it's so easy these days to find a reason to spend more money.
Every minute. I mean, with Shopify, like if you just look at something on Facebook and you want to buy it, you can, I did this. It was something I did want. I timed the transaction. Like I started a stopwatch from the time, because I have Shopify connects to all these things. Okay. Whatever I want to buy. Yeah. 7 seconds to make a purchase.
Oh, wow.
So if you think about how much damage you can do in an hour when you have Shopify and your credit card connected, so that as soon as it goes to the cart, boom.
There it is.
Hit enter. You're done.
Yeah.
7 seconds is all it took me.
Well, I mean, we have clients that are about to retire, and they're like, there's this black hole of money. We'll just call it my Amazon budget.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they're sitting there on their couch and they're watching TV, and all of a sudden, click, boom, bang, I'm going to buy something on Amazon.
Yeah, or the Home Shopping Network.
This is Ron Popeil.
He was the king.
He was.
He was the king. The pocket fisherman was very popular. I have a terrible pocket fisherman story, but I'm not going to talk about it right now.
I'm giving a little bit of my age away by making that reference.
That guy was a master salesperson.
He was.
He really was. So, yes, the temptation, I think your message is, the temptation to spend is never been so strong and so in your face. So it takes an extra level of discipline to pay yourself first, follow a budget, and not blow yourself up, right? So we try to train people to understand, once you got that budget and you got your cash flows and basic needs, and see where maybe that's also a time where you can say, am I spending too much? I call this money intuition level. This is where you really date your cash. You are spending time with it and understanding to your point, am I spending a lot of time on Amazon buying stuff at 8 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
What's driving me in certain behaviors to do this? So this awareness that comes from the budget is much more than numbers.
Right.
It says a lot about you. And then if you can manage to say, gosh, I am spending too much there, and then rein that in, you can then look at, okay, and like I said, these two sort of overlap. If you do the pay yourself first and you're setting up money going into a checking account, what I don't want is younger people, especially that don't have much, is right away starting to place money into their retirement account, or there's a way to do it. There's a way to tackle even the accumulating wealth, which is in the middle of the pyramid. There's a way to tackle the cash flows and needs, financial safety, and build accumulating wealth at once. But it all starts with the budget, and it all starts with where your money's going.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not keeping track, then nobody's keeping track. The bank isn't going to tell you.
No. And I think intuitively, people know, my gosh, I'm down to my last $40 in my checking account. What the hell did I do? And then they reassess. They assess like what, after it's like collateral damage. Like, oh my gosh, what'd I do? It's like investigate, like, what is that, CSI?
Oh, Lord.
What the heck happened to my cash, right? So once you do that, we'll move on to this financial safety. So that is your emergency fund and possibly insurance. Now,
is it okay if I touch on the emergency fund part for a second?
Go ahead. We're on that layer of the.
Okay. So, when we're building, this is basically what we're talking about here, ladies and gents out in RIA world, is the hierarchy of needs. And in particular, as starting out as a member of society, water used to be free at mom's house, but it's not anymore. And figuring out how all of those bills sort of coincide. You start with having whatever your baseline, your fundamental needs are that are covered, and then you build this reserve fund, right? You build this financial security blanket, as it were, and for whatever rules there were around just generalities, I think the average that used to be recommended was 6 to 12 months of cash flow saved away. That should be your target. Now, in this particular job market, based on whatever your chosen vocation or profession is, that might not ring true. It might take you 2 years to find the next home. In the way that I'm reading what's happening in the labor scenario. So for you, 6 months of cash might not ring true, but this is a figure that you have to figure out, and you figure that out ultimately by what Rich is talking about in terms of budgeting, right? Here's my rent. Here's how much I pay for my gas and my insurance or whatever it is. This is how much I need to feed myself. And so once you get that vulnerability cushion built in, then you move up to the next step of savings and support and financial acumen, as it were.
Yes. What I find, though, I just heard something on the radio this morning on the way in, is there's this old standard rule of 3 to 6 months of living expenses in cash. Like somewhere that's on somebody's gravestone.
Right.
I mean, it's so prevalent because once the financial industry gets a hold of something, it's like a dog that'll die with a bone in its mouth.
Yeah.
Even though it's choking it, right? It's amazing how we stick to dogma. We don't let go in this industry. I can go on and on. This will be 2 hours and Brent will be hitting me on the head with something. I will just say, now I heard this morning, well, the new thing is 9 to 12 months. So revolutionary.
Yeah.
Right? We've been talking about for years about the financial vulnerability cushion.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have a year's worth of living expenses in cash, especially in an environment like this with job freezing, job hugging. I'll give you all the terms you want when it comes to jobs. We just know the job market is frozen solid.
Yeah.
This has been happening for a while. Now it's coming to a head.
Right.
Especially in the face of AI, when people go, do I even need more people? I'm okay with who I have.
Mm-hmm.
So having that 1 year of living expenses, 3 to 6 months if my car breaks down, but a year if I'm out of work.
Right.
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy. It may take you a while to get there.
Right.
It might take you 2 years to get there. That's okay. But before you go ahead and start the accumulating wealth, now I will concede. I did have someone the other day I talked to, not a client of ours, but just someone I was guiding, 27 years old, talking about the financial vulnerability cushion. He goes, but my company match. I said, well, you did your budget.
Right.
You do really great job with it. You don't overspend. You have a little bit more discretionary money. If you feel that, again, as long as we're using Roth, I'm okay with this. You want to at least contribute up to the match in your plan.
Right.
You could do both where you can, there are people that can actually spread themselves higher up in the pyramid all at once, right? They can start the accumulation of wealth. They just don't have to max it out because that's the maxim or the rule in financial world. That's been around forever. Max out your tax-deferred retirement plan to save Save taxes.
Yeah.
Even though I'm in the lowest tax, I'm not even a higher tax bracket. I'm a kid, right? Wrong advice. Terrible advice. Still
Horrible.
out there, still on the gravestone, still alive and, actually it's above the gravestone. It's alive and well, running around the cemetery. So, yes, if you've gotten to that first step and realize, even after, say, putting a certain amount of money toward this building, this financial safety cushion, that you can now at least contribute up to the match in a retirement account, a health savings account, by all means, we could do it. Matter of fact, I'd encourage it. And I encourage it with this young man, telling him, you absolutely have the ability to now do the match, but increase your you'll get your vulnerability cushion actually done in a very much shorter period of time based on all the good things you're doing.
Right.
So to me, those are so important. This basic of financial safety, and then insurance can also be in there. For a lot of younger people, they might say, I don't really need to take life insurance. I don't have any children. But it might be renter's insurance, right? There are some forms of insurance that will mitigate certain risks within that financial safety level. Don't you think?
Well, I mean, to your point on the insurance side, if you're young and you're starting out and you're prioritizing things, it does, to my mind, it does make sense on the life insurance side. If your goal is, I'm going to have a family, and that's the sort of the suburban lifestyle that I eventually want to strive for, then insurance doesn't get cheaper as we age. Right? It gets more expensive, and term is the most inexpensive version of insurance that exists, because all you're doing is renting a policy.
Right.
And you can have decreasing term. So you might start off with, just picking random numbers out of the air. You might start off with $1 million, and then over a 20-year period, that goes down to 100,000.
So let me ask you a question. I'm 25 years old. I have no kids. I don't play devil's advocate with you.
Yeah.
And I come to you and I go, okay, I get you on this financial safety cushion. I get all this stuff you talk about. But insurance for me, why? Why do I need term insurance?
Well, again, the question I would posit back to you: are you planning to have a family?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right, because you've got to. There's a need that will be, if you're successful at controlling the budget, putting money away, in your chosen profession, all of that sort of stuff, right? Why not go ahead and get a term insurance policy that has whatever it is, a 20-year term, and even if, like I said, even if it's a decreasing term, something that's going to backfill those needs. And those needs will change as you go along, as you accrete more money into your savings checking. In this hierarchy that we're talking about, this pyramid of needs. If you're building eventually into that, then your requirement to sustain your family should anything happen to you. And I'm sort of a half poster child for something happened to you, right? I with my little ballerina dance across the highway on my motorcycle. So, you can decrease that term over time.
He's part Iron Man right now.
I am. Yeah, I'm not the what was it, the $6 million man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now today you would be
472 billion.
Something like that. Yeah.
But providing that need all the way through, that need decreases over time. So, I could not get the rates today, being as well fed as I am. I could, Mr. Clanton's cracking wise. You guys can't hear him over here, but
He's mumbling all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
You should get on mic. Good.
I could not sustain like even probably I'd be rated if I went to an insurance company.
We berate you a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. I'm just going to stop talking right there and turn it back over to Rich.
No, but to your point, which I think is very important. First of all, I probably am offered some form of insurance, or I might even just get it at my place of employment. That might be the best way to do it for you, but to something that Matt said, I'm 27 years old and I'm in the best of health. What about in 3 years, I'm not? And I'm no longer insurable, yet I plan to have a family, right? Wouldn't be the best time for me to try to look at least a term policy while I'm healthy.
Yeah.
An outside policy, possibly. At work, they're going to give it to me anyway. But maybe you want to anticipate the fact that this is going to be in your future. Someone will benefit from your life insurance. It's not like you're going to leave somebody wealthy. You're just starting this process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a combination of things. It's a combination of maybe taking some of the insurance at work. Now, some employers will just say, listen, you get $10,000 worth of life insurance. You don't even have to sign up for it. It's it's like a fringe benefit for us, the company. Yeah, that's fine. That's great.
Well, right. But I mean, if childcare costs are,
no, but I'm saying is people might say that's enough.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get that. Well, here's what we're trying to say. We're trying to help you somehow step into the future.
Right.
And look at that there will be someone you care about that you possibly want to provide financial assistance to if you're not here. And while you're in the most robust of health and at your age, term insurance is pennies.
Right. That's a great time to price it out and just lock it in.
I think I can't remember exactly, but this not a client, but someone else I talked to, was $500,000 worth of coverage. I think it was like $12 a month for this guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's 26 years old, best health, it's dirt cheap, right? For 10 years. Now, again, you might need more insurance to your point as we go on, but the point we're trying to make is don't neglect the financial safety component here.
Mm-hmm.
It's boring. It's not exciting like Bitcoin or AI and tech and all this other fun stuff. It's not designed to be. It is exactly what it is, a financial vulnerability or safety cushion. And in this environment, I want money to know that especially if I'm a new grad and I'm getting money gifts, it is one of the most difficult times for college graduates to get a job.
Right.
A lot of entry-level positions are being taken over by AI. It is a challenge. You're going to have to be more creative. You're going to have a lot of fortitude to move forward. Maybe you're not going to be on your path that you want to be. You have to take a side road and come around. It's going to take a lot, depending on your major. And even then, the fact that AI is now part of our lives. And almost every transcript I read for companies when they report earnings or sit in on calls and listen to what they say, recordings, they are saying in 10 years, we will have less people working for us than we do today. They are confident about it. They are happy about it. Employees are in some way a liability. That's why when I was at 8M the other day, a lot of these younger adults, they want to work for smaller companies. When I got out of college, it was all about the big company. You wanted to be part of this huge organization with a name, and you didn't want the financial insecurity of working for a smaller company.
Right.
That was absolutely the wrong thing to do. I should have went the other way. And there was this mystique around working for big companies and being part of an organization. that you can make much more of an impact working for a smaller company. Look at our employees here, like Matt, like you, and like our younger employees, right? These
I'm newer, not necessarily smaller.
right. That's true. Well, what I'm more snug, compact. I'm like a Pinto. With big,
Lord!
With big wheels.
What are you saying? You get hit from behind, you're going to catch in flames?
Yeah, it was pretty much happened to you. That's my new nickname for Matt now, Pinto. You like that?
Hey, whatever works for you, sir.
I had a friend that had an orange Pinto, and he'd get all the chicks. I'm like, why? This is the world now? In the 70s, he's an older guy, and like an older, like he's a college kid, and he's driving around this orange Pinto with shag carpet in it. And I'm like, man, that guy's so cool. Look at all the women he gets.
I had a teacher in primary school that had a Pinto, and we presented her with an article about those things exploding.
Yeah.
And then ever after that, for the rest of the semester, she was always late because
what the difference today is, right? The kids will actually just blow up your car.
Oh,
they don't. No, this is like we don't need to send a message. We just blow it up.
Yeah.
Welcome to school. So the ability to put money away into these first two and looking at these, and even the way you're looking at insurance, Matt, there are a lot of people even younger people that are not looking at it because they're never going to die.
Right.
So
I mean, when you're 24, you're Superman.
You are.
You're gonna live forever. You could go down a ski slope and wrap yourself around a tree and just bounce off. I mean, you're just.
My daughter stays with me. She comes in at 2:00 in the morning, and I'll wake up and I'll say, "Yeah, I did that too." I've started sounding like my grandparents. Just wait. Just wait until 8:30 is your bedtime. She's that's never going to happen. I'm like, yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I'm sorry, but I told the same thing.
One day, Peepaw is going to know what he's talking about.
Exactly. It's funny how that happens, right?
Yeah.
So the next step, middle of the pyramid, accumulating wealth, right? Building investment portfolio, saving for retirement, paying down debt, right? This is where I've got my cushion. I know my budget. I'm making more money. Now I really want to start saving for maybe just even, like you said, building a retirement portfolio, because maybe I have a goal in 5 years, 3 years to buy a house, 5 years to buy a house. Or, I just want to save for my future. And so I am going to look at how do I do this? Because in the old advice that's still out there and prevalent, because we don't change anything in financial services, is you've got to max out your pre-tax retirement plan. Now, I come to you and I say, Matt, I've listened to you. I did all the things you told me. It's painful. Got a year's worth of living expenses. I think I've got enough term coverage. What do I do?
Well, on the savings side, especially with your employer, you're not, you don't really have any control over any of that. You can define how much am I putting away into what bucket is it go, but I mean, if it's a pre-tax or a Roth component, that's all designed by the employer side of it. And I'll say this again, and I've said it before, is that, my own personal opinion is that it's good to have money in sort of all of those buckets. Once you cross over a threshold and your income is at a certain period or a certain state, and then you've got to the point where, this is my lifestyle expectation, it's very difficult. It really is. It's very difficult to claw that back.
It is.
Right. So I'm used to living this kind of way. I'm used to having these kinds of meals. I'm used to, this standard of life. It's hard to pull that back down. And so, to your point, Rich, if you take out a loan on a home, right, and then all of a sudden, you've paid that off, And then there's this, there's this money that you would have been sending to pay off the note. It's hard to pull that back. Just sort of save that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, in the end, you can grab that. I don't know if the term is extra. You can grab that extra money, right? I had whatever it was, $600, $800, $1,200 a month going out to pay this note. Mm-hmm. The note's paid off. So it's very simple to go out and spend that extra money per month. But instead of doing that, mm-hmm. push that into the savings account, or push that into the IRA, or if you're not at a phase out area, push that into the Roth, right? When you're younger, it's easier because you're in a lower tax bracket to fund a Roth. But when you're working, your employer is pretty much going to tell you how they're going to permit you to go ahead and put money away.
Yeah. No, and that's all great, and it's important. So I also think within this accumulating wealth tier, there's a meter. It's a meter that goes from low to high. And what I try to tell someone is between 20 and 30 years old, I have a meter of retirement savings. That's going to be low, but investment account high. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to blend this. Right? I'm going to blend this into your own money meter, where I might say to you, Matt, okay, you have no idea what life's going to throw at you. If you go full meter on retirement and you're 25, 27, 28 years old, 30 years old, you don't even know what that means.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to have you put a toe in that. In most likely, even pre-tax, Roth, where I am not earning so much, and I can do Roth now. But I also have to maybe put together a brokerage or after-tax account because I will have many, many other goals before retirement.
Yeah, sure.
Right, so I have to look at...
You're going to need to buy a house. You're going to need to buy a car. You're going to need to whatever.
What if you just got married and you planning on children, right? In other words, your meter on the retirement savings side is going to be low to mid. But investment portfolio side is going to be a bit higher, right? So you got to gauge it. Now I'm going into my 40s and 50s. The gauges are going to change. So this accumulating wealth is really personal. And not the same for everybody based on the meters of ratio of brokerage to retirement, because I have many other goals. If you're like some of the people in our chat, they have no goals. They just sit in the basement and write stuff on the computer. So,
oh, Lord. Is Ed in there already? I haven't even looked at the chat yet.
No, I think this is Ed's time to shine. So if you know, that's code for Ed.
Well, look,
if it leads, it bleeds.
I gotta say, and I don't know to the extent that I was, advantaged or spoiled or however you want to say it, but I was introduced to investing at a relatively young age, and I am seriously surprised. I'm seriously surprised to the extent that some of the newer generation that at least we're encountering now have no acumen in this area whatsoever. So we were talking with a client just a couple days ago, mm-hmm. and she says, my daughter's in her, early 20s. She's getting off the sort of paycheck, as it were, right? She's out there sort of starting her own stuff. We would like to start just in a small way, mm-hmm. giving to her and open an investment account and see what she did. And it really made me think. And so my response to the client was, she said, "What should I do?" And an easy answer would be, let's just index everything. But then to my mind, it's like she has no involvement. like she's not connected in any way to any of this stuff. Here's this ubiquitous, ETF that we're funding. Mm-hmm. But, when I first started, I got a small gift from my grandmother. And, I said, hey, Dad, what do I do? My dad said, call my broker, because that's what you had at that time. You had somebody selling you stock, mm-hmm. taking a commission. And the guy just basically put it back on me. He said, hey, what do you see out there in the world? Like, what are the things that you see that people are after? And why don't we invest in some of that stuff? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So, that was sort of my giveaway or my example to the client to say, why don't, if you want to do some kind of ETF, you want to do some kind of, Russell 2000 or S&P 500 or whatever that is as far as indexing goes, great. But there's no way your daughter's going to understand or learn anything about that. Mm-hmm. If she is into Ulta, right, mm-hmm. and that's mm-hmm. where she goes buys all her makeups, mm-hmm. then buy her Ulta stock.
Yeah, and I think you're getting into this is a very this wedge is a very artistic wedge on how you give advice, right? Because to your point, actually, I can combat you a little bit and say nicely, there are a lot of young people engaged in investing. It's whether or not they're doing it appropriately, because they are into much of the speculation stuff. And not maybe as much as the investments. Because I follow, well, not, but I'm talking AI stocks, meme stocks. I read the Reddit boards.
Oh, Lord, you dive into that stuff?
Yeah, for the investing side, I do, yeah. Because I want to see what, these younger people are doing, right? So I'm in part of these groups and I just read. I don't participate. I want to understand. I'm in the soup.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to see what they're talking about, and they are very robust. They are building money faster than I would have done at that age, because I wouldn't have been willing to take that level of risk. That's just not me. So I notice these are people in their 20s and 30s that are doing certain things that some of the things we do here, they would scoff at. They are more they're going to speculate. They're trying to hit the big one.
Right. They want the whale.
And when I read these things in Reddit, there's like no way the emotional and cognitive way, the way they look at things, there's no way for me to penetrate that. Especially if they're made money.
You're an old man. They're not going to listen to you.
No, nobody listens to me. Nobody listened to me when I was 30. I mean, what are you talking about? Doesn't matter what age.
I'm used to it.
So I think that when you're in this accumulation of wealth wedge, mm-hmm. it's going to be very creative for you and your advisor, or you and your spouse, to look at this together and say, listen, we don't have to be so hardcore here where we're saying, we could always look at, maybe we're creating a garden. We're starting small, right? We're gonna do this row of this and row of this. We're gonna do tax deferred or Roth, most preferably Roth, especially on the match. And then there are some companies that are just going to contribute. They're just going to force you 3%, whatever it is, right? You're going to have auto contributions unless you opt out. So you're going to participate in retirement account whether you like it or not, because that's just the rule now.
Yeah.
And
they're forcing you into that bucket.
That's because we're such great savers. We have to be forced, mm-hmm. right? Because if you had your Social Security money, you would be able to invest it and do better. But you wouldn't have had the money to invest because you would have spent it. That's what the world we're in right now. Sorry. Now, maybe people who listen to this podcast and listen to Lance, maybe that's different. But for most Americans, no. Grandma would say, do not touch. You would touch, you lose the hand. And you don't want to go through life with no hand. It'd be very, very difficult.
My brain has just went off in 10 million different directions. What were you trying to get?
That.
Like, was it the chicken cacciatore or?
Oh, yeah. Oh, at any time she made something.
Yeah.
My grandmother could make tuna fish where you'll pass out on the floor. I mean, I don't know everything she made. She's from this little town in Sicily. It's named after her last name, actually. That's her last name. The town is named the Mistretta.
Yeah.
Right? So that's her town. That's where she was born. And yeah, so anything
they were like, her chicken cacciatore is so good, we're going to name the city
after right.
her.
So everything she did, but it was anything. If she would have tchotchkes and stuff, and I'm going to be grabby. No. And you know what? I'd look around, and there was nobody around. As soon as my hand goes out, there she is. I'm like,
she's got a wooden spoon and she's going to smack you.
But how did she show up? There was nobody around. And she's there.
She just apparitioned herself out of the ether.
By the second no, I was cutting off my own hand. No. I was done. You know what they do in Sicily?
Ladies and gentlemen, in RAA world, we have created a new character today.
Well, Grandma's always
Great Grandma Mimi Rosso.
Man, I would have loved to burn you, especially in Brent, some of her cookies, man. Oh, my gosh. Amazing.
She could not only bake, but she could cook, too.
That's all she did.
That's a triple threat.
There's a movie called Nana's. Have you seen it? Yeah. It's such a good movie. But it's about this restaurant in Staten Island where this guy, he loses his mother and his grandmother, but he comes from this Italian family, and all he remembers is them cooking. But there's that one scene, Brent, where his mother is at the saucepan, the tall, huge pan.
Yeah.
And
this big pot.
And she says she has him get on a ladder, small ladder, to get up, a step ladder, to watch her and help her. And that's exactly what my grandmother would do. So whenever she was cooking, she would have me cook.
You're going to bring bring food in next week.
I make a sauce that
he's online. He's like let's have some spaghetti. Brent, Mr. Clanton is ready.
In case you don't know, yesterday we get an email from Matt about the cheese dip, and I don't eat cheese dip, so
this was not just any cheese dip.
Oh Lord,
this was brisket queso.
See.
For those local here to our own hometown, the Houston Astros have been hired to celebrate the deliciousness of brisket queso, sponsored by HEB.com, and so I just went in there one day and I was like, oh well. I've never really tried this. Let me get one. I got one, and then tried it. It was just great. And then the next day I went in and I was like, I'm gonna buy all of the brisket quesos. So we came in yesterday and filled up a crock pot with cheese dip brisket queso.
How many were there?
How many servings?
Packages, yeah.
Probably 8.
8 packages.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we talk about health and wealth, we have no health on this podcast.
Well, even Lance will tell you that you got to have a cheat day every once in a while.
I don't think he cheats.
Yeah.
He does?
Check the show last week.
Oh. He had boiled chicken foot.
That's what I'm saying. Even when he cheats, it's like...
Oh, no.
It's going to be a steak or something. What is he cheating on?
And now Christina's making sourdough bread.
Oh, yeah, but that's what. But I can understand that because it's good for your macrobiome and your microbiome and your gut health.
Oh, thank you, doctor.
So they don't even. That's what I'm saying. Is even when they cheat, these two, it's going to benefit some part of your body.
Quality cheating.
Yeah, it's quality cheating.
Oh Lord.
We're going to have celery today as the treat
with cheese dip.
Yeah. But it's low fat.
But low fat, no carbs.
No carbs.
No taste.
No taste. No taste. Pass the salt, please.
I would think Lance probably eats like I do. Very boring animal. I have my this, and I eat the same thing every day. It's chicken or whatever, broccoli, whatever, and that's what you eat all day. That's what you eat every day. I'm thinking that's what I do, and I'm thinking that's probably what
His food pyramid has only one block.
That's what I think so, too. That's what
Does it have electrolytes?
That's the block.
But it does bring up, and we're going to move into this next. Actually, this is a great segue.
Oh, Lord.
Segue award.
How far are we
come
up
we don't
on the
have a
pyramid
dinger?
yet? We've only gone 2 steps, haven't we?
No, we went through the third one.
Okay.
We beat that to death. No. I mean, the piggy bank cracked on that one. Financial freedom, long-term care, retirement savings. Right now, the meter is changing, but I started it with accumulating wealth, where I probably stated some after-tax money that would be for children's education, but I might want to breach to 529. Now I'm also in risk mitigation. What I might do here, Mr. Queso Brisket.
Oh, Lord. I guess I pigeonholed myself into a new moniker.
Queso, well, you Pinto a while ago. We can see what your other name is going to come up in about 5 minutes.
It's brisket queso.
Brisket
It's
Pinto.
not queso brisket?
Mr. Dyslexia.
Pinto brisket?
It's not Pinto brisket. That would taste horrible.
But it would be on fire.
I do like thoroughbred. Yeah, it would be. It would be extra hot. Pinto brisket. That would be great. We created a whole series of Pinto.
Flaming queso.
Flaming
queso.
Yes.
And hot peppers.
It burns you coming in, and it soothes you going out.
Yeah. And
Lord.
Bucky's Beaver just left the show. So in this financial freedom, closer to the top, very important again, risk mitigation. Now, Matt, you talked about term insurance lower in the pyramid. This might actually be the kind, depending if you've done all the right things, you've become what I call a super saver because you're not wasting your money on queso brisket pinto. You got to keep in mind, we got to have fun because this is running as long as the radio show did. We didn't get to the top yet. We're going to move real fast.
Okay.
But there's no commercials.
Yeah, but there's no commercials.
Yeah, somebody's happy about that.
Somebody in the chat would be. So you might look to, and I know this is going to be like, people are going to be going, no. But you might go from term to some form of permanent life insurance here, Matt. If you've done all the right things and you're a super saver, maxing out your retirement care plan, maybe you're self-insuring for long-term care. This is where your formal financial plan is done. You could do financial planning through all these processes, by the way, right? It's not just for people that are at these top tiers of the pyramid. You can start your plan. It would be more of an accumulation cash flow plan, but you can certainly benefit from financial planning as you're building your wealth. You don't have to have the wealth and then build the plan. It might be a different type of plan, but planning is part of everything in this pyramid. It wraps around the entire thing.
Yeah.
Not just 2 or 3 levels. It wraps around all of it. It's just the level and the type of planning that you will need depending on your age and your net worth, right? So in this financial freedom element, looking at risk mitigation, increasing insurance because I probably have children now. How do I save for my children and yet still save for retirement? I don't want one to sacrifice the other. I don't want to sacrifice my retirement for college savings. And this is, again, almost the tip of the spear. What do you think about that idea of, I've been all this saving, I'm doing all this great stuff, I need to save more, and I know if Dave Ramsey was listening to this, he would throw holy water on it. Demon, because he doesn't like permanent life insurance. But there is an absolute benefit to looking at permanent life insurance as both mostly, of course, insurance, but secondly, as a source of retirement cash flow as you move into the financial freedom, the legacy component in between those two. Right?
Yeah,
'Cause now those two are getting together. The top of the tier, the top of the pyramid's legacy, and then financial freedom. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end, there's a lot of folks that get letters from their insurance company that'll say, you can convert this from term to whole life or term to variable universal life or whatever that is. And then it becomes a math problem. It becomes how much is my death benefit that you probably don't need anymore, at least in terms of like sustaining your family's lifestyle should something happen to you. But you can use that as sort of a Roth alternative, because by that time, once you've achieved a certain level of wealth, unless you have a Roth 401k where the rules are different, you are not allowed to contribute to a Roth, right? They'll phase you out of those contributions. Yeah. And so, if you bought this policy at 27, 25, just say, and you were rated super awesome, very healthy, whatever, and then here you are, 15 years later and you're at 40, and you've got 5 years left on the term, and they send you a letter and they say, hey, you can convert this to a whole policy. Yeah. They're going to keep your rating level where it was when that policy was first issued.
Good point.
Not where you are now, right? Not where you are fully fed, as I like to call myself. That's as nice as I get to describing my body form. But if you go in, you can take money, right? You're investing in this policy. Then the premiums are going to go up, right? You're going to be required to put more money into that policy. But you have the option to maybe invest those monies in whatever mutual fund. It's similar to a 401k, whatever mutual fund kind of menu is available. And so you put money in there, the money grows. You basically, without getting too far into the mechanics, you can basically take that money out tax-free, and it works as a quasi Roth at that point.
Right. It does. And it doesn't count toward the taxation of Social Security, IRMA levels for your Medicare Part B and D. So it's important. So don't poo-poo it. And again, look at these old studies and not old studies, there aren't any studies, but there are, but old advice, because permanent life insurance is not for everybody, to be clear, could possibly work. This is, again, your area where you're doing your financial plan to figure out, do I need long-term care? Can we self-insure, right? Because that's also a big expense. You start looking at healthcare expenses. These are things that go along in the financial wealth. You might be thinking of the legacy component as you title assets here.
Right.
Am I going to hit the estate tax exemption? Most people won't. And based on the levels that the exemptions are right now. But you will want to make sure that your wife or husband or whatever, you're a furry, you're married to a cat, whatever it is, that you make sure that I've got these things in shape. Yeah. I'm looking at maybe I'm looking at avoiding probate through right or survivorship. Is that even right if I have a will? Maybe it's tenants in common. The titling of assets and the beneficiaries on your accounts is very important at this level. And people think it's no big deal, but it's real basic. There should be a hierarchy of estate planning, and titling of assets needs to be the first thing at the bottom, the foundation. So that's really important. A lot of people don't realize the difference between per stirpes and per capita, right? They don't understand on beneficiary designations, right? We'll have a show. We'll talk about, I think we're going to call it titling, why it's important. There you go. We'll come up with a title for it later. So the next level, legacy. So legacy is your estate tax planning, business succession planning. And I'm a certified exit planning advisor, and we are seeing that when small businesses want to move on, they face some difficulties for that owner to leave, at least in a way psychologically and financially makes sense.
Yeah, just look at the Murdochs.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's been I think that finally got sort of resolved between among the family members. But so keep in mind, this legacy estate planning component becomes important. Not that you don't need to do some form of that in all these other levels, right? Especially when I'm having children, right? My legacy is in that financial freedom. I'm really looking at life insurance as well, as we talked about, right? So I'm thinking of legacy throughout the whole pyramid. But now I'm really starting to formalize my plan, knowing that I have certain intentions and they're pretty much entrenched as to what I want to do, or charities I would like to leave money to. So this legacy component becomes very, very important. Tax planning for gifting purposes, freezing asset valuations so that growth happens outside of an estate, right? These are things in the legacy planning top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Pinto?
Pinto thoughts. Kaboom. Yeah, no, I think that there's only so much that we're able to build in, you know, and post-mortem, obviously, you know, we lose complete control. We're in a pine box, it's done, it's over. And you let certain people sort of manage things. So, you know, for example, you know, if grandpa had resources and grandpa left those to mom, and mom is able to, you know, she's passed away and she leaves those in trust, saying, you know, husband can access those monies, but ultimately I want that to go down to my progeny. And then all of a sudden we'll introduce a new character. All of a sudden, Pootie Doo Stingles, she enters the realm and she says, you know,
what's that
I
name?
really think I'd like a new house.
Pootie Doo Shingles.
Yeah.
Was that someone you dated?
Yeah. She smelled funny.
Pootie Doo Shingles.
Anyway,
I thought I was good at names, man, but that one takes the cake.
If you put her into the mix, then all of a sudden you have this outside influence impacting stuff.
Right.
But mom isn't going to come back post-mortem out of the grave and say, don't do that. You know, she's gone. So there are certain protections you can leave in place, but ultimately, you know, you've lost all sort of control when you've passed away. So on the legacy piece, you know, some people might say, I want to set up a fund that, you know, supports educational experiences for the grandchildren or whatever that might be. But you're relying on the valid request, as it were, that these funds are being used for educational experience. So you lose a certain degree of control. A lot of times when we have, and I think we talked about this, Rich, last time you and I were together, a lot of times folks will say, once we do their financial planning and we say, hey, you know, there's this potential legacy and, you know, you guys you're doing well and, you know, this amount of money potentially is going to be left behind. They'll say, I want to give it to them now. I want to see how they'll use it. I want to help them earlier in their careers. You know, the charities are always going to be there. And the problem with the charity part is once you give them $1, they're going to send you a mail for forever. You give them $1 and they'll spend whatever it is. What's the stamp? 79 cents or whatever it is now.
Gosh, I don't even know.
They'll send you a letter every day, all day long, every day, just to get another $1. So they're always going to be there. They're always going to want, money. And you can leave on, if your intent is charitable, you can leave on that at the end of the rainbow. But when it comes to your next of kin, your next generation, if you can have the best intentions and you can structure a trust, intestate trust that's going to be started upon your death, and money's going to be funded in, but you're subject to a total lack of control. And I saw this in particular with a client. It was an absolutely terrible situation. The client passed away pre-COVID, and then about a third of the money was invested in oil and gas stocks, and those all crashed. And since everybody was trying to figure out this work from home nonsense, then the custodian had no idea what to do. I mean, you couldn't get somebody on the phone that had any sort of authority. Mm-hmm. So they basically had to sit there for 6 months while prices in the portfolio in this trust that was created with the best of intentions decreased by 50%.
Yep. But that is, to your point, these are things that you don't think about. And there is at this level, soul searching. Knowing that, at 24 you felt like, I'm not going to die. And then at 70 you're going, I'm going to die. I need to look at these things. And that's where, again, that top of the pyramid is so important overall, because there are people out there we work with, they don't even have the basics. They don't have healthcare powers of attorney. They don't have proxies. They don't have wills, revocable trusts, living trusts if they want to avoid probate. They don't have just like the DNA of legacy.
Right.
And that's doing a great disservice for your family overall. So, like, I'm shopping for a cemetery right now. Right? So, I'll talk to my girlfriend about it, and she'll go, "You're the happiest person in the world looking at cemeteries." I'm like, "Yeah, because I know I'm going to die." I'm like, just got to go. I don't want my family to go through that process.
Yeah.
I'd rather take care of it up front, because anything you do when it comes to estate planning is not for you. You're not here. And then people use that as an excuse. Well, I'm saying, yeah, but you're going to put your family in a precarious situation. You make your son the executor and not your daughter, and she's trying to figure out why you didn't have the conversation. This legacy component is very important. And again, to wrap this up finally, good Lord.
We could spend another hour on this subject. I mean,
my head's swimming right now. This pyramid, cash flow and basic needs, financial safety, accumulating wealth, financial freedom, legacy, they all intersect. They all connect, just like a pyramid, right? These levels connect, and you're going to have you're climbing this pyramid. You're going to have a hand in one area, in one part of it, your foot in another. You are actually, I think, outside of the cash flows and basic needs. You're going to have you're going to be really breaching into all these levels. It's just the time and the sophistication of the planning within each level as you get there. And I think we're done. I think we're actually done. I'm done. I'm done.
I don't know that I can carry on any further. I appreciate everybody out there in RIA world listening.
I'm done for the day.
Larry Smith is going to hang around the chat.
Is he?
He'll answer any other questions anybody has.
You don't want to eat his queso. That's what I want. Skim milk queso is not really good. All right. Y'all take care.